Welcome to our guide on FSRA's 7 cybersecurity practices and how to align FSRA's IT risk guidance with ISO 27001. My name is Ian, and I'm from MapleGRC. Today's agenda covers 5 areas. First, what is FSRA IT risk management? The 7 outcomes required by insurance companies and other financial services in Ontario. What is ISO IEC 27001? And then, how does it align with FSRA, and why do we need this alignment? We'll look at how we can use the ISO ecosystem to implement and achieve the desired outcomes of FSRA's IT risk management. After that, we'll briefly discuss the next steps. First point, what are FSRA's IT risk management 7 outcomes? This application was launched in April earlier this year, on April 1st, by the Financial Services Regulatory Authority of Ontario, and it's published on their website, so you can take a look at it there. But in there, once we open the document, it covers several areas. First of all, the guidance is effective as of April 1st and will be reviewed no later than June 2028. The second interesting part here is this. Non-compliance with this can lead to enforcement or supervisory action by the regulator. It also mentions here that it's not a compliance obligation, but it can still result in supervisory action. So, it's guidance for the desired areas in cybersecurity risk management that are required by FSRA for all regulated insurance companies and other financial service providers in Ontario. So, it covers 7 areas. The first one is governance. Second is risk management, data management, outsourcing, incident preparedness, continuity and resilience, and notification of material IT risk incidents. We'll briefly touch on each of these. So, the first one, governance, is about making sure the regulated entity, insurance company in this case, or individual, actually has proper governance and oversight of their IT risks. What this looks like, the desired outcomes are, effectively governing this. And also to have clear responsibility for managing IT risks, and clear accountability for senior management, not just IT, but senior management, for cybersecurity risks. The second requirement, or desired outcome, is risk management, which means the insurance company should rely on industry-accepted practices to effectively manage IT risks. We'll get into why we believe ISO is considered an accepted practice for effectively managing IT risks. And the desired outcome is, to have full board oversight of the organization's IT risk management, as well as that of the insurance company. To have strategies and frameworks in place to effectively manage these IT risks, just focusing on outcomes. It doesn't tell us how to do it. The third practice is data management, and the requirement here is for insurance companies to also use industry-accepted strategies to effectively manage and secure confidential data. So, things like properly handling stored data in a way that maintains its quality, integrity, availability, and privacy. Again, it doesn't tell us how, it's just about the outcome. The fourth one is outsourcing. For the insurance company, it's about how to manage the IT risks associated with outsourcing or co-sourcing activities, functions, and services. As an insurance company, you're probably outsourcing your technology, you're using the cloud, so it's about how to make sure that accountability and ownership of any outsourced or co-sourced function stays with your organization. The fifth one, quickly, is incident preparedness, so the insurance company needs to make sure it can effectively detect, log, manage, resolve, recover from, monitor, and report IT incidents in a timely manner. And that's just to help better prevent future incidents as well. So make sure there's a learning process in place. Continuity and resiliency. So the insurance company needs to make sure it has the ability to deliver critical services during and after incidents. Statistically speaking, incidents will happen, so how can we keep delivering those critical services during that time? So, make sure you have the ability to provide your financial services to your customers and ensure you have operational resiliency. The last one is the requirement to notify FSRA of material IT risks in a timely manner, which is within 72 hours for insurance companies. So, these are the 7 outcomes, or desired outcomes, or capabilities that FSRA is asking insurance companies to have. Right away through this guidance. Okay, I'm just going to switch now to something totally different, but it will tie everything together. What is ISO IEC 27001? Well, it's a globally recognized standard for information security management, and developed through a collaboration between the International Organization for Standardization and the International Electrotechnical Commission. That's why it's called ISO IEC and 27001, because it's part of a library of standards, and this one lays out the foundational steps to meet these requirements. ISO IEC 27001 provides a systematic and structured approach to managing and protecting sensitive information within an organization. It's a document you can purchase from ISO or from the Standards Council of Canada, and it's like a manual. Its content really walks you through, step by step, how to achieve a systematic way of managing information security. And basically, the way it works is that there are 4 tiers. The first tier is the security manual. ISO requires that the company have a policy and risk assessment outlining how you, as an organization, require everyone on your teams and your vendors to comply with cybersecurity. The second is to provide a clear process for what, who, when, and where in managing information security. And then, within your organization, describing how the tasks and specific activities for cybersecurity are carried out. And then maintaining objective evidence to show compliance with all of these requirements. This pyramid here shows what it looks like when you apply ISO to IEC 27001. You would have a policy, procedures, checklists, and forms, and you'd keep records of all of this for your internal and external audits as evidence. It's a management system for information security, but it's really the same way you would manage quality, the same way you manage the environment, or even things like fraud management, for example. Very, very similar. You would have a policy in your company based on your risk management. And you would have procedures for who does what and when in your cybersecurity program, and you'd have checklists and forms for them to make sure things are happening systematically, regardless of the people involved. It's about the functions. And then you keep records of all that for checks and balances. This is what IEC 27001 is about. It's not a specific requirement for a technical cybersecurity measure like two-factor authentication or backups, or encryption. These things come from the risk assessment that's done in the security manual, but they're not the core focus. The core is to have this pyramid in place so you have a sustainable and systematic way to manage your information security risks in your company. So, how does ISO, in this case, align with FSRA's required outcomes? Well, for the governance outcome, remember the first outcome, that's what the security manual will deliver for us. The second requirement in FSRA is risk management. Again, that's part of the security manual because the security manual is actually based on risk management. That's based on board oversight. Data management, that's based on specific guidelines for how you manage your data, whether it's in the cloud on premises, or if it's personal data. File information, whatever you have, a bunch of standards and procedures, and ISO will point you to where you can find these. Outsourcing. It's similar for that. There are specific frameworks for how to manage your supply chain in the cloud and in IT. Incident preparedness, that needs to be a working checklist because you always have to be ready. You need to have a specific list and tips of things to do when you have an incident. Continuity and resilience, same thing. You need to have forms, controls, and measures in place so that if, say, our system or a cloud vendor goes down, you know how to keep providing service to your customers. So having these forms and controls in place will help you. And the last part is notification. You need to have records so you can notify in a timely manner to your regulators. So the alignment is literally one-to-one. FSRA tells us the outcomes, but it doesn't tell us how to get there. ISO gives us the how, and even the where, for achieving these outcomes in a proven, systematic way. So, how can we use the ISO ecosystem to achieve and maintain FSRA's desired outcomes? Well, ISO has had a very strong ecosystem for almost 25 years now. The foundation is ISO 27001. That's the document you receive. It's about 10 pages long and tells you exactly what you need to do to build a program. But in there, you also need, let's say, 27003, which is a document that explains how to implement each of these lines in 27001, and ISO 27005, which is a specific process for risk management, including risk assessment, risk identification, risk evaluation, and so on. And then ISO already has established professionals who are certified in ISO 27003 and know how to implement it. They do this for a living. They're here in Ontario, and they can help you. And there are also GRC software tools to help manage this entire process. So instead of using Excel sheets and Dropbox and whatnot to manage all this documentation process, there are software solutions that help you maintain this process. And make sure you don't have any blind spots when implementing ISO, and again, help you achieve your outcomes. And then there's the third-party audit. At the end of the day, we need a third party to audit your implementation against ISO standards in an impartial way. And here in Canada, they must be accredited by the Standards Council of Canada. And there are a few of them. You can choose any one to audit you, and they all follow the same process. That's the beauty of having a standard. So this ecosystem here gives you everything you need to establish and also maintain your information security management system program. So, where do you start? Well, with the ISO standard. Okay, just Google it. ISO 27000 standard. You can buy it from the Standards Council of Canada or directly from ISO. It's about $200. That standard will tell you exactly what to do, and then you implement ISO. Get professionals to handle that. There are people who do this for a living. They'll set up a project for you, and, however many weeks or months it takes to implement, and then get certified. Get an accredited company to review your program, get your certificate, and gain that assurance. You can also meet with the MapleGRC team. And let's see if MapleGRC, which is software for governance, risk, and compliance, can help you implement ISO and, in turn, meet the FSRA requirements. I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. Thank you so much.